Today we will talk about one of the most terrifying serial killers in the United States. A man who hid behind the mask of a friendly clown. John Wayne Gacy. A man whose name still terrifies America. John Gacy was born in Chicago in 1942. His childhood was far from happy. His father was an alcoholic, and he was constantly beaten and humiliated. He was called weak, wrong, not like the others. Due to health problems, Gacy rarely went outside and often spent time in hospitals. He grew up with an inner anger that he never learned to control. In adult life, Gacy looked like the perfect citizen. He was involved in business, organized parties for children, and even helped with charity work. No one could have imagined that behind the smile of Pogo the Clown lay a real monster. The first young men began to disappear in the 1970s. Most of them were teenagers looking for temporary work. Gacy offered them jobs, but instead, he locked them up in his home. Terrible things happened in the dark basement of his house. Things that America would only learn about many years later. There was a signature trap used by Gacy, the so-called handcuff trick. He would tell the boys that he was going to show them a magic trick. In reality, it was the moment from which they could no longer escape. Gacy kept his victims in the basement, and after killing them, he hid the bodies right under his house. The police would later find more than 20 bodies there, and that was just the beginning. In 1978, 15-year-old Robert Peace disappears. Friends say they last saw him in Gacy's car. The police begin to follow the clown. Gacy becomes nervous, confused, makes mistakes, and finally confesses. He talks about the missing people, the place where he buried the bodies, and how he can't stop. The Gacy trial became one of the most high-profile in the United States. He was called the Killer Clown. Prosecutors described the gruesome details of his crimes. Gacy sat calmly in the courtroom as if it had nothing to do with him. In 1980, he was sentenced to death. On May 10, 1994, John Gacy was executed by lethal injection. His last words were, "Kiss my ass." That was how he said goodbye to the world he had terrorized for years. John Gacy's story reminds us that monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they are the most cheerful people around us. If you want more stories about serial killers, like and subscribe. There are many more dark stories ahead.